So what I'm preparing for this workshop is another story. It's about women's health and the future generations. What is the traditional Chinese wisdoms of taking care of women? What is the scientific base? Okay, let's see. I think all of us has learned biology, anatomy, function, behavior, psychosocial. But the most important by time and by space is the inheritance and environment. Let's see. Inheritance means there are two germ cells. One is the sperm from the male, the other is the egg from the female. Both of them need to do so-called meiosis, reduce in half of their genome materials. Then they come together, we call fertilization. And this is the way that inheritance goes generation after generations. Okay. Then there are genetic code. Everybody know it well. The DNA code, ATCG, that transcribe to RNA, and RNA translated to protein. Protein make all of us a cell as a cell tissue of the human body. All right, this is very, very easy. Okay, then there comes an identical twin. They have the same genetic materials. When they are in the age of 3, they can be very similar. You cannot tell one from the other. But by age of like 17, if they are raised from different family environment, they can be very much different. Then why? It's because the way that this genetic code being expressed can be influenced by other things we call epigenetics. Epigenetics is that in the condition that you don't change the genetic code, but there are some ways in the cell that modify the way that gene expressed. I tell you, this is part of science. Next. It's because, just think of the computer or in a library. When this information is such a big piece, we usually storage. The best way to storage is to compact it, to pack it. So the genetic material exactly is packing on this way. For those that we don't use often, we pack it. For instance, if in the skin cells, the skin cells is just an epithelium. It's very different from our neural cells or our blood cells. So it's because that in the skin cells, only those genes involved on this epithelium are expressed. But those genetic code of other tissues, lineage, are all packed. This is packed during the development in the embryo. And the 2 meters of DNA can be packed into 1/30 of our hair's diameter. So there are 4 to 10 folds of packing. So DNA are not freely accessible unless for those tissues specifically for that kind of tissue genes. All right? So this DNA packing is actually a phenomenon of the cell and our health, including repair, transcription, mutation, replication, all things. So they are packed in a higher order of chromatin structure. So this chromatin structure provided this interface for this gene being expressed or not. How is the mechanism that gene is packed? It's by DNA methylation. It's a methyl group added to our cytosine. Then there are modifications on proteins that associated with our DNA, we call histone modifications. Also, there are RNA that are non-coding for any genetic informations. Okay, this is kind of complicated, but to make this short, just like a computer, the packed information can be read by our cell systems as a writer, as a reader, or as an eraser, or by this packing proteins and signals. And those in colors are marks. So for instance, the green marks, that is histone 3, lysine 4, methylation 1 to 3. Those marks for, okay, this piece of information has to be expressed. Those marks with red means these are repressed or highly packed. So we have writer, readers, eraser is a program, a very sophisticated program that's being. Okay, let's take one example. Epigenetic control of DNA methylation. Methylation is the methyl group added on the 5 position of cytosine. Once this has been added, the information will be different. The methylated DNA is usually packed. The methylated DNA is being silenced by program. So it's been called the 5th genetic code. Okay, then when these identical twins, when we study the chromosome for their DNA methylation, this is a chromosome methylation painting. One is labeled with green, the other is labeled with red. When they are equal, then this is a yellow. So we can see they are in yellow. It means equal. But when at the age of 18, there's either green or red, no more yellow. Means their DNA methylation are no longer identical. They changed. That means the environment, the time, could change the way our genetic code being expressed. All right, so that means the environment is very important. All right, so let me give you more scientific experiments data. Prenatal environment, the nutrition. All we know, when women get pregnant, nutrition is very important. In the mice, the coat color, there's a kind of coat color called agouti. It means a yellow color. If the diet of this pregnant mice is rich for vitamin B12, then this B12 biochemically will provide enough methyl group for DNA methylation. So methylation of one protein called inhibitory agouti signal peptide. This peptide's role is to bind to this agouti color genes to suppress the expression. Upon B12, the methylation of this suppressors then allows the agouti gene to expression. That's why, that's the mechanism of this coat color being controlled. So if this pregnant mice is deficient in vitamin B12, then the color of her offsprings will change totally in various ways. All right, another example, maybe you are more familiar. Pregnant women, we need to take folic acid early, before the neural tube being developed. That's because folic acid also is important for this methylation. It's a folic cycle, and in this methyl B12 same provide the methyl group for the DNA methylation things. So both folic acid and vitamin B12 is important. So more importantly, not only the nutrition, but also the behavior, even the mood of the mother will have a great impact on their offsprings. For instance, in these experiments, the rat, there are 2 groups of rat mothers, bad mother and good mother. A good mother take good care of. They lick, they hug, they hold their pups, but bad mother don't do it. Then when the pup get matured, those given rise from the baby mother has more stress, has less corticoid receptor on the hippocampus, because hippocampus and the hypothalamus and the adrenal gland is an important axis for the stress response. So more specifically, scientists have found the mechanisms. When the mother has a high leaking or grooming activities, then we stimulate an increase of serotonin and the increase of this protein, and then allow this pup to have more so-called stress response receptors. And also by grooming this, there was a way of demethylation of these genes and allows this more expression of this glucocorticoid receptors. Most importantly, when this pup matured, he will reproduce her mother's behavior. A bad mother have get a bad pup, and the bad pup become a bad mother. So it's past generations. So it's inheritable. It's inheritable. All right. Now, so we can, from this science, we can tell a lot of old traditional wisdoms, actually they are true. For instance, 胎教, prenatal education, 3岁定终身, that's before 3 years. The first 3 years is most important. And also, 孟母三迁, it's a story of Moncius, it's another saint of Chinese. Her mother moved 3 times just to choose a best environment. And also, this epigenetics has been set early in development and cannot be modified easily, just like the characters. 江山易改，本性难移. You can learn very hard to change your characters, but there's only a minor degrees you can change, and just in a short of time, after then you return to your epigenetic setup. Then there are more stories than that. The development is not only after birth, it's before the birth, and even before the birth of birth. Let's make it. The egg is ovulated from the ovary and fertilized in the tube and become implanted on the uterus by 7 days. And in this embryo development period, the amount of methylation will first, in either the egg or the sperm, will be demethylated, a kind of erase or everything of the germ cells and start brand new again. Then this so-called germ cell, stem cells, started to develop, one cell developed to the whole body in different lineages. Different lineages means in neural tissue, all the gene involving others other than neuron being packed, silenced, only the neuron lineage genes being evolved, so on and so forth. And so during the very beginning of pregnancy and the embryonic period, there is a increasing of this epigenetic setup, including DNA methylations. All right. Then you would think, how about this egg? This egg also needs to be developed. So when was this egg being developed? It's been developed in an earlier generation, means the grandma. And also, the egg contributes everything in the embryo, including the genetic material and the cytoplasm, the whole environment. But the sperm basically don't need only the genetic materials. So that's the reason why the woman's health is so important. Okay, so let's take a look of how does this egg be developed next. This egg is developed from the grandma's pregnancy. So that's when that time it is called primordial germ cell. This is the embryo and a small group of cells in the hindgut developed to the future eggs. So this involves 3 generations. Primordial germ cells is in the fetus of the grandma's uterus. And this primordial germ cell become oocyte, which is matured in mom's ovaries. And upon fertilization, it develops to the embryo and the newborn to adult. So there are examples. For instance, a fungicide called vincorolin would change DNA methylation status of genes associated with gonad sex determination and the test formation on the offspring of F3. That means grandchildren. From F0 rats, that's the grandma. Yeah. And also, there's a deterioration of cognitive function and the increase of incidence of mental illness in children with parents with chronic exposure to smoking, alcohol, environment, and toxins, etc. That's 2 generations. So when we talking about females, the development of our future generations, we have to concern 3 generations. The environment and those exposures, including pollution, the diet, lifestyle, stress, behavior, could change the epigenetics. And the critical period is at the earliest when the development is setting those epigenetics. That means the embryo, which is really the critical period. And for the neuron tissues, it could be always the embryo and the early childhood. So, in this sense, can we think of the old wisdoms of our ancestors? For instance, in Chinese sayings, 富不过三代. Can anybody help me to explain what is 富不过三代?
Can try. It says like if your grandparents are rich, usually you won't go over 3 generations. So grandparents, parents, child. Then after that, usually the generation next won't be as prosperous.
Yeah, in the property sense, it's 富不过三代. In a epigenetic sense, it's also the 3 generations, right? And also, if it's in another word, if the first generation has some harmness to their future eggs or embryos, that we call 祸延子孙. Usually, we say that if our grandparents, our early generation is doing it well, it will pass these fortunes, knocks to the future generations, and also it takes 100 years to make good things happen. It means 3 generations. For the rest of the time, I will encourage you to discuss several involved topics. First one, do you believe in feng shui and the various taboos during pregnancy? Because it's such a critical period. This I cannot translate to Chinese, but to English, for those you can read. There are some forbidden things that you cannot do during your pregnancy. And also, if you if you would like to have a healthy baby during your pregnancy, there are some feng shui. Let's see the next. What is feng shui? Feng shui is a Chinese philosophical system of harmonizing everyone with the surrounding environment, including the way the house is setting, the way the furniture, and everything that may involve the space. Also, there are wisdom of times, the Shen Chen Ba Zhi, or the four pillars destiny. It's a conceptual term describing the four components that supposedly create a person's destiny or fate. The four components is basically the time, the year, the month, the day, and the hour. But they are calculated in a traditional way, or ba gua. And even if I will lead you all those discussion topics, then we can discuss. If the critical period is so important, then does the mega environments, like the world, like a universe, also affects the development, depending on at what location, at what time you are born. A project I'm conducting now is we're going to compare newborn baby. It's born at the summer, in the summer or in the winter. Are they different by their epigenetics? We take the blood and the whole genome study of DNA methylation. I mean, those are statistics of hundreds, thousands of years. That says different time of birth, time point of birth, make different characters. We'll discuss number 2. Do you think astrology, based on the time and the place of birth, can tell your personality or fates? Also, because it's 3 generations, how is the grandma and mom being raised? Their environment, their family, are they important? When you plan to get married, are you considering those? In ancient China, they are so-called blind dating. 父母之命，媒妁之言. This picture, this is my mom. She was 17 years old in China. And this is my grandpa of my father's father. And this is my grandma on the mother's side, and grandpa on the mother's side. This is a picture taken 100 years ago. And this young man is my uncle, my father's young brother. And he was even younger than my mother. He was like 14 or 15. It was in the World War II, around 1939 something. And when my father was in thousands miles away from Zhejiang, this is Zhejiang, this is Guizhou, thousands of miles. And then his parents set up the marriage. Before then, 2 families know each other well, because my father was a teacher on a school that my grandpa on my mother's side, which is a principal of a school. So they know each other well. But my father only see once of my mother when he visited his home, and my mother held a tea to the future husband, which she does not know at all. So in that age, my uncle brought my mother, traveled thousands of miles, and took her to my father. Oh, so that is so-called 父母之命，媒妁之言. And also there's a kind of so-called 门当户对, both are teachers' family. And then this is my family. After maybe 30 years later, in Taiwan, we have 10 sisters and brothers. Successful, no problem. So we have 3 questions, 3 discussions. What do you think? What do you think the astrology thinks? What do you think that so-called parents matchmakers? And what do you think this so-called feng shui and everything, I mean, those Chinese old wisdoms, do you believe or you're not, and why? All right, so I give time to you, and you're welcome to express what you're feeling and you're thinking. All right, we're out of time. Okay, thank you very much for this session, and I hope you have a wonderful time. Thank you.